how can we win for the client as a team, and we're not two solo teams acting underneath the umbrella of Highland Wealth.
Yeah.
And so where we really have focused a lot of our time is like, we are one team.
Unified goals.
We are working for one client, and the client's goals and what we're trying to accomplish for the client is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But we also have to give each other grace because everyone's going to make mistakes.
Yeah. Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Got Gavin on the show today, talking a little bit about what he does. Great partner for us. We've enjoyed working with you since kind of we've opened. I knew you and Becky go way back.
Yep.
Way back to the wife.
To the wife.
Yeah.
Denham Springs days.
That's right.
Yeah. Denham Springs Day, Livingston Parish ladies.
Yes, we have a partner from Livingston. We do.
That's okay.
We own it.
We love Livingston
We
girls. So
I always joke because I make fun of her from being from Slidell, but really from Alexandria. So you can't.
there's no
the bottom of the barrel is that.
So basically, there's awesomeness in this room brewing right now.
I don't. Some would say yes, some would say no. I don't know.
Some A-Town boys and
Small Town
Chalmette
USA.
/ Slidell.
Yeah.
I am pumped you're from A-Town though. So like,
Is that what we're calling it these days? A-Town?
Or Ellick?
Nobody calls it A-Town except for if you're from A-Town.
Oh,
A-Town or Ellick?
Yeah.
Like the Dell?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it.
I was stood up my first time I met all my fraternity brothers, and they asked you to say something about yourself. I said I was from A-Town. And looking back, I completely regret standing up. And
they thought you were from Atlanta.
yeah, probably so. Probably so. So you're an advisor at Northwestern Mutual. You have your own brand within that umbrella, Highland Wealth.
Highland Wealth. Love it.
And you're growing geographically. So tell us about Highland Wealth in general, how you got started, and what y'all got going on.
Yeah, so started out as a solo advisor 17 years ago.
Oh, dang, you're that old, guy?
I'm getting old. It's like I'm feeling it. I can't sleep well anymore. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
So started, and then 5 years ago, me and my business partner, Jeff King, merged our practices together and formed a business underneath Northwestern Mutual's, entity where all advisors have some sort of overarching company they operate from, and then they usually create their own brand or business underneath that. So for us, it's Highland Wealth, and we use Northwestern Mutual as our broker dealer. And 5 years ago, we merged together. Things were going okay, and then we met a EOS implementer, actually, and went down that path, and things have really gone really well since we've been doing that. So
how long ago did you do implement the operating system?
6 months in, thankfully. So
good.
So Jeff called me one day and was like, "Hey, we need to meet this guy, Cullen. I've been meeting with a grocery store client of mine for like a year, and his business is exploding. And I keep on asking him why, and he keeps on telling me to read this book, Traction. Well, we both graduated with general studies degrees from LSU, so like that's not really a priority of ours. I was reading at the time, changed my ways a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I was like, all right, we'll go meet with him. And so I was like totally against it. I was like, I'll meet him because you said so. We'll have the meeting, we'll roll. And during the meeting, Val, a girl that been working with me for 15 years, calls me and was like, "Hey, John Doe's at the front door here to see you and Jeff, and we don't have it on our calendar." And Cullen was like, "So you think y'all need an operating system?" I was like, "Dang." So I was like, "All right, how much are you going to cost?" And from there, it didn't matter. It was the value that he's brought to our business is immeasurable. So
yeah, just being intentional makes a huge
working
difference.
on your business on 4 or 5 days a year, and then at different intervals that the system requires you to do so. And we really took it from heart. Now we've merged or expanded off of EOS. Like not every business needs to just operate in this box. Sometimes you need to do a rectangle or a triangle or whatever. So we've definitely added and taken some stuff away, but still with that framework of like, hey, this is the operating system that we operate off of.
How many advisors?
Starting point, speaking the same language.
Yeah.
That's all the benefits.
The same language in the company is huge.
Huge.
I did not realize, like from a even marketing perspective internally, how important it is for everyone to speak the same language. Yeah. So that's really helped us on that front.
Yeah. How many advisors do you know actually operated within an operating system intentionally within their business?
So very few.
1%.
Yeah,
0.2%. No.
very, very few. I mean, most financial advisors still operate in the world of advisor and 1 or 2 staff people.
Yeah.
That, to operate on a business system is very difficult with, 1 or 2 people with you. Where we have found the most value is just by combining and merging our business, right? Or businesses, and then actually creating a business. Cause really what we had was a practice that we merged together.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a business. I acted like I was a business owner. I talked like I was a business owner, but I didn't know anything about business.
You were told you were probably a business
owner.
I
was told by, leadership. They don't even know what business is. So it, meeting with Cullen and like going through those exercises has allowed me to like talk with business. I was like, dude, our businesses are the same.
Yeah.
Like we just provide wealth management and you provide XYZ product, right? Or service. So it's really helped us speak to our clients in a different way and language. So
yeah,
I get that question all the time. Like, have you ever worked in this industry? I'm like, business is business.
Yep,
like
business is business.
You could be a doctor, in a chain of healthcare units, or I could be over here with hair product sales. Like, I'm going to apply the same principles and the same things are going to help you scale.
Well, that's what I'm so impressed about y'all's business actually is. So I've got to track y'all from the start, and I know your story of how you got started and all that. It's because Becky is one of her best friends is my wife, and unfortunately they talk on the phone all the time. So, and I was like, I don't know, Becky, you ready to do this? But I was confident, with the partnership and stuff like that. But it's been really cool. You can tell that y'all have an operating system that you're operating off of from afar that I didn't even know.
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
So just with the way
it's working.
it is working. So it's definitely working out, I think. So it's been cool to watch y'all through that journey, which not very long, right? A few years?
Yeah.
Not even a few
not
years.
even 2.
Yeah,
okay, 2 years. It feels like it's
we'll
been
end
5,
our second
right?
year at the end of this year. Yeah.
So I think because y'all went at it on an operating system from the start, I wish we'd have done that, honestly, but I think that's why you've had the rapid growth that you've had.
You do, yeah. Well, it's because you don't have to go through breaking too many of the bad habits, right? Everybody has bad habits. And so you're always individually working on those, but you're responsible for those individually.
Right.
The struggle that I see in so many businesses that I work with is you collectively have created bad habits together.
Yeah, not good.
And so systematically having them at the same time, breaking those bad habits amongst multiple leaders or operational leaders, that's the struggle.
Yeah.
So even 6 months in, that was a win. I mean, if I could get ahead of every business as they were starting and put in an operating system, we'd live in a different world. But unfortunately, that's not where we are. Yeah. And so, takes a lot of legwork and takes people being committed, but it'll work.
So by you saying that, read a really good book recently, Empire Builder by Adam Coffey. Have y'all heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yep.
Incredible book. But he talks about not an operating system, but like starting your $100,000 business, being profitable, running correctly. Like I find a lot of business owners think that they can just go start businesses and they'll figure it out as they scale and grow.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you can't figure out $100,000 business, you're definitely not going to figure out $1 million. You're definitely not going to figure out a $10 million business. So it's that financial discipline that we had from the start because of what Traction and the finance section and just running on a disciplined budget. And that's really allowed us to grow faster because we have discipline around that. Right.
Right.
And so it's really cool to just see that and know that you're working with clients on that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes, because you keep using discipline, is you won't always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the hardest thing. And you speak of the entrepreneurs that are like, oh, I could just start any business. And it's like, at the same time that sounds crazy from an operating perspective, you need it. Because if you don't have those individuals, then they're not ever going to get started either, right? There's always the bad end to people that say, oh, I have to build an operating system to start a business. Like, there's no right or wrong way of going about it. Do whatever your personality is, and then we'll clean it up on the back end, right? And that's the resource you get to be to your clients, and we get to be to the clients.
Right, for sure.
So, like from Highland Wealth, when you're operating your business, y'all still meet with a leadership team.
Yep.
Y'all have y'all's level 10 meetings consistently.
Yep.
And how do y'all? So, I mean, I think from an advisor standpoint, thinking about if I'm going to join somebody's team, they would like to know, how do you hold people accountable? How do you solve problems? How do you work on your business? So, what does y'all's operating system look like internally?
Great question. So, first of all, we have a leadership team, which is the 4 major parts of our business. So that's marketing, sales, operation, and finance. And then I work as the integrator and visionary role, and Jeff works in the ownership box role. And so that's our core leadership team. And we work on issues on the business, right? So we just got out of our quarterly meeting last Thursday, and we talked about expansion. We talked about the resources that we have available. We talked about just all the things that you've got to get through, but from a day-to-day operating perspective, you don't have time to.
Yeah.
And then we have our advisors are on the sales team, right? And so we have our level 10 sales meeting weekly on Monday mornings.
Nice.
And we address issues from sales to ops to sales in that meeting. We do trainings. We use a scorecard to see how our advisors are doing as far as metrics. So like how many meetings are they having? How many new clients are they bringing on? How many, service plans are they doing? So all the things that you need to do as an individual advisor, we're holding you accountable in that level 10 sales meeting. Our operations has a meeting right after that. So as an integrator, head of sales and head of ops meets in between that to cross-pollinate those two.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't get it all, right?
Yeah.
And so that meeting's meant to like, hey, what issues are we having that ops needs to solve or that sales needs to solve between each other?
Yeah.
And then we do our all hands meeting monthly. So we bring everyone in the organization together. And then we do our state of the firm that we're actually having Thursday. So that's like, here's what we discussed in our leadership meeting. So like everything's out on the table, right? Here's what our goals are for the quarter. Here's our objectives. We need to create, here's our company rocks. So what rocks can you do to help us accomplish those company rocks? And so we do that quarterly after our leadership quarterly meeting.
Nice.
I love it. I love the transparency. I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot explain how valuable that is to an organization
Yeah.
for the individuals that are working with you to understand that common goal that you're getting to. I think that so many people, they're at the top or they feel that they're being a leader because they're simply an owner and they're not communicating that. You're never going to have anybody bought in and being on board with what you're doing. And I mean, the other part of it, I have rarely seen from a broker dealer level in that traditional financial realm, that type of leadership or accountability, right? They have a lot of resources, right, from a compliance perspective, but there's nothing truly helping someone being held accountable. And let's be honest, that person that y'all are looking for to join that organization, that's a small percentage of the population. Your average person is not able to jump into a business model and operate a business on their own and be motivated every single day without the accountability, without the built disciplines in place to succeed in that realm. So how much of that have you seen, and what's the success that you've seen since you started actually working, having that leadership availability and accountability on your advisors?
Well, that's interesting you say that because I would put up our advisors up against anybody. I mean, if you want great financial planning, our advisors are built to deliver that because that's all we discuss. It's not like how many dials you have to make or how many, the common things that you hear in our industry is like just cold calling and sales and that's important. And we discuss that. And our advisors have to be good. Some of them have to be good business developers to grow the business.
Yeah.
But all of our advisors have to be great financial planners. And so we are constantly working through the training and meetings that we have of, hey, how we just had one this morning, like how can we present great ideas to our clients in a way that they can understand on a whiteboard, right? And we actually trained on, okay, how, like we did one, how can a business owner pay their kids successfully, and how would that impact them from a tax perspective? And how can you draw it out so a business owner can understand it, and so they can bring that idea to their CPA and implement it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we constantly work on how can we provide great financial planning to our clients, not how can we sell them products.
Right.
The
so
products
knowledge experts first.
Yeah.
Right. And then sales development thereafter when they're ready.
Correct.
Yeah. That's the way it needs to be done.
Yeah.
That's how you could be confident that you're putting something out there good behind your brand.
Yeah. And what's surprising and what's awesome is the amount of inbound referrals we have now is incredible.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's very rare in our industry, actually. There's not a lot of inbound referrals that come to financial advisors. Nice. So by being financial planning focused first, that really generates those referrals, in my opinion.
So,
one of the biggest things I think businesses that have scaled even over a 5-6 year period of time is that, when you first get started, the leadership team all kind of play, they don't really have designated and specific clear roles in what they're doing. And so you may have somebody who worked with under somebody else come and try to circumvent the leadership team to go straight to the top, maybe the integrator or the owner. How does y'all do a 1 point of accountability within y'all's organization? Yeah. And so you have your operations and your sales that can kind of butt heads against each other. Mm-hmm. How do y'all deal with having those two issues? It sounds like y'all have a really strong process around how you connect those two dots and solve those problems within it. But how do y'all work on those things?
So
keep rolling with it.
cool. So that is a great question.
It was such a good question. The fire alarm went off.
Yeah.
Your first question was awesome. Like, how do you circumvent the head of those departments and a person in that department circumventing their leadership and coming to me, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I sucked at that at the beginning, by the way.
Every leader does.
Right. And that's how I had to learn, because Madison is
It's
our head
your
of
responsibility.
sales, right? And so they have to go to him first.
Mhm.
And I can't cut his legs out from underneath him by always solving people's issues. Like, he's got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so he's actually done an incredible job of taking that mantle and that leadership and really, like, his role is not to like boss people. It's to remove barriers and obstacles. It's to, hey, how can we help you win? How can we help our clients win? Which is really the main thing that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how can the clients win in this situation?
Yeah.
And so he's done a great job of doing that. And it's me staying out of the way.
Yeah.
And then if there's as an integrator role, if there's a huge barrier or obstacle that we need to solve, then I'll get involved.
Yeah.
Well, I
then,
always tell people you cannot stop other people's actions. So all that's in control is your reactions to that situation. So as the leader, as the integrator, it's your job to say, that is a great question. Let's go call so-and-so leader that you need to be speaking to, and I can facilitate that introduction of the question so that they can solve it.
Yeah.
But it's training yourself to do that. And it's hard because, you know, when you haven't studied leadership, your natural reaction is take control.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're not studying who you are as a person and realizing your trigger that you're trying to take control
Yeah.
of the situation and solve every problem yourself, then you're going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah. And I frankly sucked at it.
Yeah.
But it's gaining maturity through sitting in the seat for an extended period of time.
Yep.
Definitely like helps you win in those scenarios, right? Because you start thinking like, okay, I've got to react better to this situation, or I have to react differently. And like, so our old managing partner, he talked about triangular conversations. So if you find yourself in a conversation where it's like you, another person, but we're talking about the C person, right? We probably should include them in the conversation because we're not getting anywhere. We're just gossiping.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's really like not having triangular conversations.
That's right.
And then the hardest part for us, and I think for any sales to ops organization, I mean, y'all definitely experience it.
Yeah.
So how can we win for the client as a team, and we're not two solo teams acting underneath the umbrella of Highland Wealth?
Yeah.
And so where we really have focused a lot of our time is like, we are one team.
Unified goals.
We are working for one client, and the client's goals and what we're trying to accomplish for the client is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But we also have to give each other grace because everyone's going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I was reading this book or probably listen to a podcast. I don't listen to a lot. I don't read a lot, but
I say read.
Insert
I say read,
Jared.
but I'm really, I'm
you're an
absorbing
attorney,
the
man.
content.
You should read. So.
Jared is,
He's a listener.
he got his law license. He did.
Worked really hard for
Book
that.
on tape.
You did. And then he
You wanna hear a
listens
funny
to
thing?
books.
Yeah.
The best class I ever, the best grade I got in law school, I actually got the top grade in class.
You
What?
Cali?
Let's go.
The teacher recorded their lectures, and I put it in my ear, and I would when I drive back to Baton Rouge, I'd listen to it. That's just how I learned.
That's the way I learned too.
Yeah.
You also like pictures. Man loves to draw a picture.
What doesn't love pictures? I mean, look at this incredible picture about Shelly
Yeah,
about
good.
you.
Shelley Brown.
I'm just a picture reader, I like flip
Yeah.
over the little ones that have like the little things that stand, the 3D pictures. That's my favorite.
Dude, I told you, I'm from Alexander too. I get it.
A-Town, in case y'all
A-Town.
didn't know. Okay.
What were we talking about?
I have no clue.
Squirrels. Not having those triangular conversations.
sales to
bringing
ops.
people in and sales
It-
to ops. Yeah.
Working diligently on one team, one mission.
Yep.
It's just, but it takes work. is
And
what it-
transparency.
and transparency.
You've got to communicate what those goals are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And
and another thing I think that makes a huge difference is whenever you run an operating system that doesn't have you people running away from issues. It's where the one thing. So the two parts to that. I think that the best part of having an actual meeting pulse where you can solve problems is where you're not walking down the hall and you're constantly being pulled away because you got to solve fires all day long.
Right.
They live on your issues list and you talk about them once a week and you get those things knocked out so that you can operate throughout your day without getting distracted a bunch of times.
And
But also,
everybody's part of the solution.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's all the solution. And like that's the biggest part. Like everybody gets to come together and help out to where they know that they can come to the level 10 meeting and say something that they need fixed or something worked on, and the group can come together and agree and see everybody's perspective and get it solved.
Yeah.
As opposed to, again, like I'm walking down the hall, there's a problem, this person pulls me in, me and that person solve the problem, then we tell everybody how we're going to handle it, and nobody else understands the why and what happened. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that we've, from day one, implemented. It's like, no, we're going to put that on the issues list and we're going to talk about it.
If
No,
it's
we're
not
building
on
issues.
fire, yeah, you direct them.
Yeah.
Great. Put it on the issues list. Can't wait for us to solve that together.
Yeah.
Right. And then you automatically are looping in the leader of that
Yeah.
meeting, you know, by doing so.
There's only been a handful of things that have happened throughout our year and a half where we've actually had to sit down and solve the issue outside of our normal level 10 meeting. And sometimes, like, we have called a ownership meeting separate and apart from what we usually do because we had some things that we just weren't able to get to in our weekly meeting. And sometimes that's necessary, but having that meeting pulse, I think, that and having the one point of accountability that everybody respects are the two things that allow people to work within your organization and enjoy themselves a little bit and not feel like they're not a part of the in crowd or their decisions are made and then they're changed the next conversation that happens. Yeah. Like those kind of things are toxic within an organization from a leadership standpoint.
We experienced that firsthand.
Yeah. And I think that y'all obviously are figured that out too.
Well, if you solve it in the office down the hall and no one does it, and then you might come out of that thing a week later and it changed, right?
And it's never
you
implemented.
Can't remember what you even talked about a week earlier. So like having a forum in place to discuss issues is key.
Yeah. And just to clarify, referring to level 10 meetings, but that's just a weekly meeting that everybody finds is effective. They're showing up to resolve issues, or even if you don't want to call them issues, opportunities for change and efficiencies, right?
For sure.
Synonymous with the meeting pulse for anybody that's not read traction.
We got kind of frustrated with the idea of everything being an issue on that list. It's like, well, some of these things are like opportunities for us to take advantage of. But I do like the fact that you get the opportunity to solve those issues every week.
So we use 90. I don't know if you've heard of that
90,
software. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called Issues and Opportunities now.
Gotcha.
And then we also put training in there or some other thing in
We've
issues.
added different,
So like you don't have to just solve issues.
You don't.
And like we were getting worried, like, okay, this meeting was short today. Well, it's okay. Like we don't have to spend 2 hours on issues. Like so
if you don't have any issues, it might be a problem.
But
we don't necessarily need 20 issues.
But you'll know if you have issues that are not being presented as issues, right? And there's a difference, and you can get out of some meetings quick and know that you're operating efficiently that week. So I think there's both. And again, that's where I come back to. I don't think that there's a pure model for anything. I think that an aware leader understands where the company is going, understands what they need, and can make adjustments accordingly. And honestly, you know, in us helping businesses institute operating systems, that awareness is, I think, the biggest differentiator between going, you know, strict through an EOS pure or self-implementing, reading the traction book, is that we implement and integrate the DISC assessment analysis with it. And so any person that is going to have any leadership capabilities, and I honestly recommend it all the way through to every employee in the business, takes a personality assessment. And it tells them exactly who they are so that they can use that as a tool to start regulating their own triggers and reactions. And then it gives an entire communication section that teaches you how to best communicate with everybody on your team. And so like last year, our retreat, or, you know, your state of the business, right? We have that, but we went over everybody, and we have a shared bank where if someone comes to me and says, I'm having a problem with this person, I'm immediately like, did you pull their disc? Or if I'm working with one of our other leaders and they have to have a hard conversation, it's like, make sure you look at that disc before you go in to make sure that they are truly hearing what you have to say and comprehending what you have to say. And so when you bring that next level of awareness from a leadership standpoint, plus you're considering the impact and the buy-in of the organization, I mean, you're destined to succeed.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's where we're probably lacking on like those assessments. We should do Colby, but we stopped. I don't know why.
The disc is simple.
Yeah,
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link.
20 minutes to take it, and then the beauty of the disc assessment is that you can look. Once you have everybody's assessment, they give you can graph everybody on the wheel and see how everybody relates to other people. And sometimes you'll see deficiencies within your organization to where if there's a wheel, but you look at it in 4 quadrants, and you're missing a quadrant, you can see, okay, well, maybe we're making mistakes because we're lacking people in an organization that really focus on details,
right?
Or we're not selling anything because our salespeople truly aren't salespeople,
right?
Some of
we
those
have a bunch
things
of process people trying to be in sales, or like in y'all's organization. I feel like again in the finance realm in general, not in your organization, but in general, they hire a lot of IDs. That is very different than a DI, and not looking at the differentiator of those people that succeed versus those people that run around in circles thinking that they're busy all day and they're very likable, but they're not actually accomplishing anything. Like that person with some bit of leadership can easily be turned into a success story. But if you're not aware of that and you just throw them out there, Jared's examples, they're always standing on the side of the road shaking a sign, and they know that they're doing something and they're more than willing to do it, but it ain't doing anything for them.
Yeah, that's great, because like our advisors are really 2 different people. One's business development and then one's service.
Yes.
Like it's awesome to get a client, but if you can't keep the client, then what does it matter?
It's rarely in the same person.
It's rarely.
Attorneys operate very similar, right? Like most attorneys are not salespeople, but you get a couple of good sales attorneys out there, and you have a lot of them that are really good at servicing the client. Then you have a great team because you got a couple that are running and gunning, and you have a couple that are in now making sure that all the details are in the right spot. And I mean, that's really kind of how we built our business.
That's why we have our own law firm, because we don't fit the traditional model. Jared and I don't have a traditional attorney personality.
Yeah.
But guess who does? Becky. Guess what she does? Run our law firm.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Guess how good she is at it? Amazing. You know?
She likes to read.
But like, but on the same token, I think that it's not talked about enough that the fact that you run an operating system within a successful sales organization that is also giving financial advice, it's also giving legal advice by the operations staff that really makes the world go around is going to almost appreciate the fact you have an operating system more than your salespeople will.
Right.
Because they're the ones that know that when their salespeople who generally don't follow processes, when something gets shoved into the system, that there's going to be a process that's followed, they have to respect. And so a lot of our admin just appreciate the fact that we have a process that I like to follow some of the time, but they do like that you have a process. I think that's important to know too. As your business grows, you're gonna be looking for more admin. As you move geographically, you're gonna look for more admin. So talking about the operating system, I think will have people who are in that type of an admin role that may not enjoy where they're at, may be excited to find somebody who is interested in helping with that stuff.
Yeah, we've found a couple of potential, like they were advisors and they hated it. Now they're fantastic operations people, right? So, and our operations team is huge compared to like any wealth management team or firm out there.
Yeah.
Because you care about the service.
Yeah, we believe in investing in that because we know we're going to keep clients, we're going to get referrals, we're going to provide a level of service that's different than other firms.
Yeah.
I think the flip side too, like you're saying, they appreciate the process. You got to be careful for your movers and shakers and, those high Ds out there that you're not over processing the organization either. Because I also can't stand that. And sometimes you see that on, in that self-implementation realm is like Jared jokes that he only follows the process sometimes, but we have a process built around Jared.
Yeah.
So we don't have to change who Jared is in order for that process, to work. And so it's like if you build in, you used the perfect word earlier, grace. If you build in grace into your operating system, then your process can be built around those individuals and everybody can truly be who they are as a person. So they're not living with frustrations every single day. Because you over process and you put that in front of a driver, that's going to shut a driver down. Just like you under process and you put that in front of a process oriented person and they're never going to take a step forward. So you got to be careful on both ends. And a proper organization, you complete that wheel and you have some of each.
Yeah.
So you gotta fall in the middle.
It's actually good for us to think through, because I think things could get over processed in the traction model, right?
Easy.
And so it's awesome how you said, because I definitely work on a little bit different process than other people.
Absolutely.
I'm also wired a little bit differently, so it sounds like you are too. So, but having that ability to see that is huge. So
I live. If you looked at my disc, I live on both sides. So my D is primary, but my C is secondary. And it's rare to have that C secondary behind it. So I love processes, but I want them to be correct, but I want to do them really quickly, right? And so there's that constant battle between the two. So like we have an intake form for all of our legal clients, and I send in a lot of business clients. And there's a form that they all fill out, and it's beautiful, and I help make it, and I believe in it. But like when I'm busy, I just have it memorized in my head what it looks like. So I just write in an email in that order, and it may not come in that form. And so the first few times they're like, I can't open this because it's not a form. I'm like, that's not the type of organization that we run. You absolutely have all the information that you need. So it's part of teaching those people within the process how to pivot and what you're truly trying to accomplish. Am I truly trying to accomplish opening a file systematically with all the information that's needed, or am I just trying to create a form?
Right.
Trying to open a freaking file.
Yeah, like we
get it processed. You have everything that you need. Don't call me if you have all the information that you need, right?
Yeah.
And so it's working through those type of things that satisfy on both ends.
That's good.
It's just an example of it.
So as you're pivoting to the advisor side, because I know now that y'all are a sales organization and y'all are trying to generate more business and y'all are moving and trying to open business in St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah.
I think from a sales standpoint, and it really, this is probably not a true statement. I was going to say from a sales standpoint, even more so than operations, you got to make sure that the people that you're bringing on that are out in the world, spreading the word about Highland Wealth, share the values that you have.
Yeah.
Right. And so, how do you identify a good advisor? Who are you looking for?
Yeah.
And tell me about the advisors you have.
So, core values are a big deal. Like y'all shared y'all's core values with me earlier is awesome. So ours are fun, win, growth, connector, and collaborate.
Ooh, I could work there.
Yeah.
And so why is that? Right. The advisor has got to be fun. Like, we are not running a stuffy, wear a suit and tie financial advisory firm. That's not me. That's not us. We're
When's
not
the last
doing
time
that.
you put on a tie, Gavin?
It's been a while. I think
Jared?
I don't own one.
I own one suit. So,
Mine
and
doesn't fit anymore.
I'm not against suits, and I'm not against that vibe. That's just not us. Like, we work
Same.
with business owners, we work with retirees, mostly from the chemical plant corridor, and we work with young families or professional families. Like, they're not looking for the 60-year-old white male in a suit. Like, that's just not who we're trying to be. So I want to be approachable. I want my firm to be presentable out to the public, but I want to be like, you're coming to talk about some of the most sensitive things that you've ever discussed with anybody. I probably know more about my clients than anyone in their sphere, because we have to talk about their money, and then all kind of stuff
And
comes
their
out after
fears,
that,
right?
right?
Their habits and all the
So-
things they want.
Yeah. So, like, I don't want you to, like, we don't need to worry about, like, can you come sit down with us?
Yeah.
And so the next thing is, like, connector. Like, I love connection. Like, if I find you have a problem, I want to connect you with, because the whole world is about who do you know,
Mm-hmm.
and how can we help you meet the people that you need to know to win, right? Like, Miles, Miles, an advisor on the team. It was very interesting. So, like, why do we collaborate? So we can do more, right? So me and him collaborated on a client that got referred to me. It was a widowed lady. She was like 65 years old. She'd never lived on her own. She needed to replace her driveway. She got a quote for like $45,000, $50,000. Well, he went out and found somebody that would do it for $9,000. And it was like, you made a real impact on this lady. Like, her husband's no longer here. Like, she didn't have any kids to help her do this. That was a huge impact for this lady.
100%.
And soliciting concrete workers. I didn't see that on the financial advisor checklist.
It's not there, but it's what she needed at the time.
Exactly.
And we had a guy that did that line of work. So it's like, why wouldn't we connect those two people?
It's perfect.
And we knew that he wouldn't take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Like, she was about to get taken advantage of. So
Somebody told me this one time. They said that, and I'm the same way. Connection to you. I like, it makes it nothing better when somebody reaches out. Somebody actually reached out to me yesterday and said, do you know of any real estate agents in Alexandria? It's like, boom.
yeah,
Quick
there you
text
go.
message connection. That makes me
Fourth
feel,
time, A-Town.
Yeah. Makes me feel really good. I don't get to talk about it much with anybody around here. It was a good feeling. And they said that when you walk into a room with somebody that you're trying to get a referral from, you should ask them this question. Can you tell me the top 2 people that you've referred for this role in the last couple months, just so I can know what type of referral partner that you're looking for?
Yeah.
If they can immediately start naming the people they referred, they're not a
They're not
referral
a
type
connector,
person.
yeah.
They're not a connector, because if they were, they would have immediately been able to tell you who they connected for that thing.
Of course, yeah.
So I love that value.
Yeah. So if our advisors fit those core values, they're going to be a good fit with our organization. And then we have some avatars where, look, we're a very competitive industry. It's very difficult. You could probably I think you named 30 financial advisors earlier. So, like, we don't have a lack of financial advisors in Louisiana or the United States.
Or attorneys.
Or attorneys. So you got to be competitive. So, like, we like the candidate to have played some sort of competitive sports.
Cool.
Like, believe it or not, I ran track and cross country in college for a year. So I was very competitive in that. So, like, that drove me to be competitive in this space. Like, I want to beat my competitors. Is just the way I am, right? And I want to do it, like, lovingly and, like, with camaraderie, but I still want to beat you. So, like, we need those type of people.
You want to race after?
I will dominate you.
I don't know. I'll do it in heels.
All right, 1 mile race. How much? No. So that's who we're looking for, and we are growing. So the cool part about what we're trying to do, or what we're creating, is a lot of people try to get into the financial advisor industry, really, really quality candidates, and there's no salary to start at a lot of these firms. And we think it's just miserable to start that way. So we have a base salary that people can start. They can pay their bills. They can feel comfortable with the recommendations that they make. And then they can start building a book of business alongside that salary, and not take this huge financial burden and huge financial risk to start in this industry.
Yeah.
So what I think we're offering to the industry is, like, we want really, really quality candidates that we remove the financial burden or risk to start, and that they could come and do great work with.
Yeah, you
great
can,
work with
you can
us.
at least go know you can buy yourself a Big Mac.
Yeah.
And survive over the first couple of months.
Is that what you would get? A Big Mac?
I was thinking about it. That would probably be a Big Mac.
A quarter pounder, dude.
Or an Izzo's burrito. I could eat that every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Izzo's, yeah.
I used to like McDonald's, I'm not gonna lie, but not anymore. But.
Yeah. But you know what is a parent win? I asked my kids the other day what McDonald's were and they didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good parent win. I have a 6-year-old.
My youngest is like dying for McDonald's, but we don't ever take her, poor child. Yeah. She'd probably have a birthday party at McDonald's if we let her. Yeah. Because she doesn't know what it's like.
Aw, Rubes.
Yeah.
Well, or that's Violet. I said the wrong one.
Sissy. Yeah. Vidalia.
Vidalia.
Yeah, there you go.
That was right.
That's your daughter's name?
So we went Ruby and Vidalia. Get some of that. Oh, poor child. So she goes by Sissy though, Vidalia.
Yeah.
Her name's
It's a cool name. I have Lucy and Jane,
cool.
so I get the old people name
go.
too. And then I have a Walter, which is like way old school. So
I love it.
That's
I remember Dylan. I don't remember what age she was, but it was the first time she had a McDonald's chicken nugget, and she had only ever had Chick-fil-A. So she was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, this is sad. You're bougie. Like you were just straight up bougie."
That's what the kids are nowadays.
You are.
They like want sushi now. It's ridiculous, but whatever.
I don't think well, my kids aren't quite there.
And yet we did it.
No,
we're the problem.
Like we're like, like everyone said, like our parents were the problem. Now we're the new problem.
We are.
Everyone's a problem.
I agree.
I like it though.
I don't have a problem with it. I think that my kids went through phases. Wouldn't eat anything, and now they'll eat everything. Which is
that's good.
Definitely a plus. So we're talking about the advisors that y'all are looking for, and y'all said the offering a salary. So I was going to say that when I first got into the title business, I was offered I told my employer, I said, you give me just enough so I can get by, and then tell me what I need, what I'm going to get per file. I will then reverse engineer how much I want to make. And as long as you don't move the goalposts on me, I'm going to make that happen. Yeah. But just give me a little bit so that I can at least feel comfortable enough to be able to go try to accomplish what I'm set out to do. Right. And not feel like I'm going to starve or that I'm going to be broke the rest of my life. Yeah. And then I'll make it happen. So I think it means a lot to know that you're going to have a little bit of security in what you're doing, but also know that the sky's the limit. Yeah. You go produce, you can make whatever amount of money you want, and you can figure out the number how it's going to take to get there by reverse engineering that number. You just go get it, and I'll give you the tools. Yeah. It's going to be all on you on how much effort and work you want to put into it. And you find that people who have played competitive sports have a good indicator of people who are going to know what it means to put in the work, hard work, and grit to get there.
So I think you got to go through some adversity in sports, or a lot of adversity. Yeah. You got to try to win. Win's a core value of ours. You got to win for the client. You got to win for the team. You got to win for yourself. So I just think it embodies what you need if you can successfully go through that to do this career really well. Yeah. We talked about a friend, Chris, who played baseball for LSU, and Ash, better than Menard, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. We'll talk about that in a second.
No, I'm messing with you. But so I hired him. I ran the internship program. I was like, dude, you're going to be perfect to this. Like, you're competitive. You're an athlete. And he came in and he was successful, and he was one of the rare ones that were. But it just you see, when you have that competitive spirit to make a team like LSU baseball, you're going to be able to do this career.
Yeah. I was telling one of my buddies, his son just won the state champion. He was a state champion wrestler. Yeah. Over here, and my last my last organized sport was high school baseball, and we won a state championship. And that's the last sport, the last game sports you play every year is baseball. And we won. Made my last sporting event that I played, and I won.
That's awesome. And
that amount of confidence going into college and then law school and then after college, it really does carry momentum. And I think sports is a great avenue for that. But not only that, somebody like Chris, understanding what it means to work hard enough to get there. I tell everybody this, that everybody has to go through something in their life that's going to make them understand what it really means to work hard. Yeah. Right. If you don't actually go through some adversity and have to work through something that's difficult, you're gonna have a hard time figuring out what it means. You might have somebody who's special ops in the military, they went through that training, so they understand what it means to come out on the other side of that. Somebody who played professional sports or college sports. And my experience was law school. I didn't enjoy school, wasn't good at it. When I finished and I passed the bar the first try, I remember calling my dad 10 minutes after I found out I passed, there's nothing in this world that I can't do. Right. Because I had accomplished something that was hard, I didn't enjoy, I'd put in more effort than ever to figure my life. And if I did anything that I enjoyed and put in the same amount of effort, I was going to just crush it. Yeah. And so I totally agree with that.
That's awesome.
That mentality.
Law school was hard.
I couldn't do it. Congrats to y'all.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget that I did it because if I had to do it again, I definitely could. Would never want to torture myself going through that again. But
I would never want to take the bar again.
Yeah.
I appreciate the experience that I had because it was because I just figured out what it means to really, really, really freaking work really hard.
It does change your mindset
100%.
in a good way.
Anything that makes you uncomfortable makes you grow,
100%.
right? And it's man, we just went through this thing with Jordan. He's another consultant we use. He just works on like soft skills. And he's like, when's the last time everyone like did something that they like? It was like challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, golly, like I've just gotten in this habit that's just not that challenging anymore, right? So I need to like find like, man, how can I go through something like really hard? Because you grow on the other side of that every time.
But I did it last Friday. I mean, I've been in my head about like exercises. I mean, I've been doing a little bit of it, but not nearly as much as I used to. Well, I went and met with my performance coach on Friday, and he doesn't tell me what I'm going to do before I get there. And he said, bring your running shoes.
You
and
got a performance coach there?
Yeah.
All right.
And
what you performing on?
Work, like
Stage.
just in life in general. He's like, he's a business coach.
Okay, nice.
Oh,
I thought you meant like your trainer.
No.
Okay.
I'm not training for any type of sporting events anytime soon.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
I'm not.
That'd be great.
But he texted me. He said, bring your running shoes tomorrow. Yeah. I hate running. The opposite. Right. You sound like you like to run.
I used to.
So
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
totally.
We walk out the front door of this condo in New Orleans, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna run the city today." And I haven't run in 5 years.
Oh no,
dude, we ran for at least 3.5 to 4 miles through the city of New Orleans. I mean, like walked a few little bit, but didn't walk a bunch. And like I wasn't not going to run as this dude's setting the pace, and I'm like, and several times I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna stop.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna stop. But I just kept going, and then last night I put on my running shoes and I ran again.
That's awesome.
It's just like.
How did you feel after that, though? You know what I mean? Like
accomplished every single time.
Oh, I felt great later that day. And then, that soreness that you feel that you hate, but it also feels good that you're sore.
Like, oh, I did something.
A little bit of perspective. Yeah, I still feel that way. And that was like, what's been 5 days? I'm still sore.
Yeah.
But I ran last night because I just forgot what it meant to like put in the effort and work hard and the feelings you get on the back end of it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's Jason's everyday run.
Yeah.
And I know when he needs to work through something because he'll go like 13 miles. And I'm like, 13 miles?
2,200 days in a row over there.
Oh,
Jason. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm kind of inspired. I might try to do a 1K every day for
1K a day, man. That's his thing.
Life. You would make it.
I know, it's his thing.
I mean, for like 2,000 days or something like that.
It's a lot. Yeah.
8 years or something.
It's almost 8.
Yeah.
Cool.
Inspirational for
sure.
So
it's more than 2,000.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Even when I was in the hospital, he ran the hospital unit.
Jeez.
I can see him.
I'm so stubborn. I had to almost die. That was my overcome story.
Which I mean, look,
sometimes try to kill that stubborn girl.
Perspective too. All right, so we've talked about Highland Wealth in general. We've talked about how you run your operating system and how you attract your ideal advisor, right, through your values. So, what is the goal, and what are y'all trying to do now? What's the next year for Highland Wealth?
Yeah, so the next year is expansion. So I think we've done a great job, and there's obviously growth there, but Baton Rouge is our primary market that we work out of.
Yeah.
And we really want to take this beyond Baton Rouge. So we're expanding east and west. So Lafayette is our first. So we just hired our first advisor there.
Congrats.
So he's a career advisor. He's been in our system for a while. So he's joining our team. And so I'm really excited to have him, like a phenomenal advisor. Like I just think with some systems and processes and like guidance, he's going to crush it.
Yeah.
And then expanding east, I think I got that right. Yeah. To Mandeville. And, seeing if we can hire some advisors here, got a couple leads and want to place a few advisors here. And then from there, long-term, we think like Southeastern regional firm, but you gotta go slow before you go fast. Right.
Yeah.
So, and we're kind of taking a quick approach, but I think building the foundation and building the capacity that we have over the last 5 years through running on an operating system, we keep on going back to, but that's really allowed us to take this step quicker than I think anyone would think we would.
Yeah.
So
we understand that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so I think, and y'all like have that. We'll just follow y'all's model, right?
We're holding our breath because we want to go faster, but it's hard to be patient.
Yeah, so I'm like the go fast, right? And then the team's kind of like, okay, like do you have everything? I'm like, we're just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
Which I definitely have slowed down a bit, which is good. But yeah, like we want to go fast.
There's a beauty to finding the balance between the two.
Yeah. But fast.
It is correct. Trust me, we know.
Fast.
I
think fast.
We're fast-ish all the time.
I would like to go fast. So I think we have a unique product. I think we have a unique offering, a service. I think like we're not doing it for like more income or more like, man, I think we can impact a lot of people. Not only clients, but just advisors and operation team members and just like the organization as a whole. Like the bigger we get, the better it is for everyone on the team. Like I know that for a fact. Val, who's been with me for 15 years, actually from Mandeville. Let's go. She went to, dang it, I forgot the high
Shout
school,
out.
but somewhere over here she went. But like she has grown immensely over the last 15 years by us actually growing. And now like the income she makes, the influence that she has, she's on the leadership team. Like she runs ops.
Nice.
Like we talked 4 years ago and I was like, Val, this is it. Like this is, if you're okay with this position, I can't promise you anymore. And she was like, okay, like we'll just figure it out. And she stayed. Like she's loyal to a fault probably.
Yeah.
But now like it's 2x, 3x of where she was, right? And so like I'm pumped for her in that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's really cool to see like our team winning as well.
Yeah.
We thrive on the same thing. Impact. That's our whole purpose as an organization, is how we can better impact and influence the community.
Yeah.
And so anything that brings us to that, which is such a broad purpose, which is why we do get distracted from time to time and have to make decisions on different opportunities. But the greater the impact, the better we feel as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
So St. Tammy Parish, Lafayette, y'all trying to grow those two markets.
Yep.
So you looking for anybody in particular in Lafayette?
Yeah. So we're going to hire career advisors starting fresh or new in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Mandeville. So we're doing that currently.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we just hired our first one in Baton Rouge. We have another one that we're speaking with. We're identifying people in Lafayette, and we have one on the hook, I think, for Mandeville. So our first one.
Nice.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. To be tuned.
Well, I'm excited to see how Highland Wealth grows, and I selfishly like to maybe come watch run y'all's operations meeting or one of y'all's meetings to see how y'all run your level 10, just to get a perspective. But
I'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good talking to you though, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Excited for y'all's growth.
Yep.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Appreciate you having us on. Love what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
And y'all are incredible partners. It's like in the financial advisor community, just to throw y'all a plug. Work with quite a few of y'all's attorneys here, but we send a lot of estate planning and business planning. So one of our key demographics work with business owners. And man, having a good attorney that understands business the way y'all do has been a game changer, not only for us, like y'all are working through some merger acquisition stuff for us, like personally, but then helping some clients through some operating agreements, and just a multitude of issues that y'all understand and can help with. So it's been fun working with y'all, and we've had a great relationship for too long now. I mean, I've been married for 13 years now. So I've known you for quite a while.
Yeah.
And Becky I got to deal with y'all's partner all the time.
Yeah.
So
My wife been married
in the personal world and the business world.
Yeah. So, but y'all have been awesome, man. I appreciate y'all's and guidance. I mean, on just stuff that we're dealing with, and to have a law firm that partners with you and doesn't because I've got questions and I want to make sure we do it right, and the confidence that y'all instill in us and doing that through doing the process correctly, right, and slowing down a little bit to speed up has been awesome. So thank y'all for that. We appreciate it.
Love that.
Well, it'll be a long time coming. I'm excited to do this for the next whatever long it takes to get us to the end of where we're going.
Yeah.
So cool. Appreciate you, man.
All right, y'all.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you.